Welcome, ladies, to the show tonight. We have a special guest, which I will introduce her in a minute, but I am very glad that you were able to join us. We are going to be talking about household tips and hacks, and this is a subject that all of us could definitely learn from. I wanted to read the verses in Titus 2 that kind of talk about a little bit about this, though. About the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, and charity and patience. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. So that's some good verses there. And that's kind of, the whole intent of the show is to teach, young Christian ladies that have not been at this journey very long, Christian ladies that have been, and they just want to learn some tips. So we have Mrs. Ronnie Starnes. And do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I know a few of you know me, a few of you may not. My name is Ronnie Starnes. I am a married mother of 6. 2 of my children are grown, so I still have 4 living at home. And I recently started a podcast called Clean With Me. You can look that up on your favorite podcast app. And it's a show where basically I talk you through cleaning your house. On most of the episodes, I'm literally kind of reminding you what to do next. So I feel like it's motivating. It's the type of podcast that I would like to listen to. And that's about it. Oh, and I'm Pastor Stephen Anderson's sister.
Yeah, so glad to have you on here. And it's funny because I have a confession. I had to install the podcast app in my phone because I keep seeing your post about it on Facebook, and I'm like, I keep meaning to join that. And then when I asked you to be on, I'm like, I really need to join it. I need to get her podcast. So I had to download the app because I had never listened to a podcast. I always do YouTube and things like that. So I had never actually listened to the podcast, but it was kind of nice because it was right there on the phone and it's not taking up that much data, I'm assuming, when you listen to a podcast. Do you know how that goes? Do you know if it takes up much data?
No, I think it's kind of contained within the app, really.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of streaming it, I guess, even though it says you're downloading it. I don't feel like you really are, but I'm not really a techie. But
No.
I don't feel like it counts toward it. I've been listening to podcasts even for probably about 4 years. So even when, our phones weren't that good and technology was different. So I haven't had any problem with that.
Yeah, when Leslie actually came up with the idea for the show, she wanted to do a podcast. And I was like, oh, well, why don't we do a YouTube channel? Because I knew my way around YouTube and everything. So we decided to go with the YouTube channel. But no, it was cute. It was a cute show. I actually listened to the one today when I was doing my hair and getting ready. I listened to the one that you did about cleaning small houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were at your daughter's house and
Yes.
You were going around. And that was good for me because I have a very small house. It's only 1,300 square feet. So it kind of fit with my house. So I was listening, and you stay up on top of the house work probably better than I do. So it was pretty. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you do in your podcast, kind of from beginning to end?
Okay. Most of my episodes, sometimes I'll do a topical episode that's just something different, but in most of them, I will start out with having you just kind of make sure you're freshened up, just kind of gear up for the cleaning session, and then start a load of laundry is a good place to start. And then if your front entrance of your home is presentable, just head to the kitchen and start cleaning the kitchen. I talk about, those being the priority areas, like the entryway and whichever room is on the front of your house. And then, of course, your kitchen, because, we kind of all dread, I think, doing dishes.
Yes.
So that kind of helps you build momentum. And then after the kitchen, let's see, living areas. For me, that only takes a few minutes, but I kind of allow extra time because some people might have both a living room and a family room. For me, it's just one room, and basically a hallway. And then bathrooms. We clean the bathrooms. And then last is clean a bedroom that you're responsible for, which I kind of word it that way because if I had people cleaning all of their kids' rooms, I mean, it would take longer than a 1 hour episode. And,
Right.
obviously my kids, I make them clean their own rooms. So during that time, you make your bed, straighten up your own room. And that's basically the format of most episodes.
Okay, so your episodes run about an hour then. And you're actually cleaning while you're doing it, correct?
On some of the episodes, not all of them. Sometimes I'm just sitting there recording, but I have cleaned along with my own episodes to kind of test the times. I have done some, I call them live. It's not really live, but where I'm recording, where I'm actually cleaning. I have done some of those. It's kind of a challenge doing that, to keep talking and
Yeah.
cleaning.
You're
So,
not out of breath.
but I think people like those, so I do throw those episodes in. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's just something to kind of motivate you and just get you through those mundane household chores. And it's an area that I've definitely struggled with in the past. I mean, I would be getting like not like a highest GPA, but more of a most improved award in housekeeping. So
That's funny.
some
But
of you that have known me for years and years, maybe my sister-in-law, if she's watching, in my 20s, I was not a good housekeeper, back when we lived near them. So I've improved over the years, and I just kind of want to pass along just kind of the tips and tricks and just entertain people. I'm not just talking, obviously, every episode is different. So I'm not just telling them what to clean. I talk about, like, I go on little rabbit trails, like while you're doing your dishes, let's talk about, the Instant Pot or whatever, that type of thing. So each episode is unique, even though I'm often following that same routine.
Right. Now, I know we're going to have some questions later about this because Jessica Seacrest has already said something. She says, I have a hard time with keeping stuff clean with 3 little tornadoes. It's like I get one room clean and they destroy 3. So we're going to talk a little bit later about how to clean when you have lots of littles. Now, how old is your youngest right now?
7, and he's 7 going on 17. He's the world's easiest child. So, I mean, it's been a long time since I've had to worry about him writing on walls or doing anything. He's just a real easy kid. So
Right.
all my kids are school aged. And then my oldest one living at home is almost 16. So I do have a cleaning crew to help me. They all take part.
Right. Yes, I know. I do too. And like I said, a lot of the younger moms are like in awe and they're a little bit jealous that we do have people to help us and we do have kids to help us clean. In fact, my kids probably do the majority of the cleaning, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I wanted to begin with some things. You talk about, knowing your husband's priorities. For you, what is one of your husband's biggest priorities when it comes to cleaning, and how do you try to make sure that that's done, every day?
Yes, because we're not perfect and we're not all going to just have a spotless house every single day. Even though I try to kind of cover everything in the episode, I teach cleaning in order of priority, and it's based on my own husband's priorities. The front entrance of our home, if somebody was to come to the door, and that's also his first impression if he comes to the door, walks in, and then the kitchen. Those areas are really big for him. And then, like, he's not really going to even use the kids' bathroom. So that's a little later in the episode because I want to get my priority done, my priority areas done first. And then having a clean towel when he goes to take a shower.
Yes, that's a
Is
big one
that
for my
so much to
husband.
ask? No.
Yes, that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. And, he doesn't want to look for it. I hang it over the shower, just ready to go. And probably making the bed, that he likes to come home to. I don't think if I did go without making the bed, I don't think that'd be too bad. But his worst pet peeve about the bed is if I strip the bed to like wash the sheets or something and he comes home and it's just a mattress.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then this isn't cleaning related, but I have to make sure to have dinner ready by about 5:30. So,
Your husband sounds a lot like mine. Actually,
okay.
a lot. That's kind of the same priorities. Like he wants food when he gets home, especially when he gets home from Walmart. Working Walmart, it's a hard factory job. So he wants the food there ready. And then also the towel for the bath. And I think too, laundry, not even so much. He gets so frustrated when he can't find socks, like black socks, or he gets it when he can't find socks. So I think the socks and having the towel and hot water and food. And if I meet all those, he's pretty happy. So well, what is your husband picky about, laundry, or is it kind of
Um,
the same?
I guess he's kind of used to me. That's kind of my one. Those of you that already listen to my podcast know that I kind of admit that's my one weak area. But obviously, I would be in trouble if he didn't have clean socks. But the thing is, I'm not bad about washing. I have a clean laundry pile. He actually made me a chest to keep it in, to keep it out of sight, that residual pile that I shouldn't have. But I think his solution to me not being that good about putting away laundry is he tends to like buy himself a lot of socks, t-shirts, and underwear.
Yeah,
So,
mine has too. That is so funny. Sometimes I get so frustrated. He'll just go, he's like, I know these are going to be missing in like a week, but at least for a week, I'll have as many socks as I want, or t-shirts or whatever. That is so funny. Yeah. And I feel like at my house, we have like a sock monster that comes and devours socks.
yes, definitely. We
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah. I think every house has that, like a sock monster. So you said that you shouldn't start a project like, start a huge project like going through clothes or anything until you have your priority things done. So you try to get your priority areas done every day before your husband gets home?
Definitely. I try to not so much work harder, but work smarter. And that involves getting the priority areas done because sometimes a project will seem more fun than, doing the dishes again, sweeping the kitchen floor. Look, I've organized the spice rack, talk about tithing on the cumin. you know you,
Right.
you got to clean the house first, and then obviously we have those projects. We do need to sort through our kids outgrown clothes and things, and those are kind of fun projects for me, but I force myself to hit those priority areas first.
That's a really good idea. I like that. I think, yeah, like I said, the ones for mine are, but then my main areas are kind of you come in the back door through the schoolroom, that's kind of our mud room too. That's where everyone comes and puts their, muddy shoes or wet shoes or whatever. And then you go from there into the kitchen and the living room. So those three rooms are kind of the ones I focus on. Those are the ones that anyone that's visiting will see. So I definitely do those first. But then I don't know, have you ever done this with your kids where sometimes I've set the timer and we're having like, okay, 20 minutes and we're all going to clean. Have you ever done things like that?
Yes, definitely. I used to do that a lot more than I do now. I think they've gotten faster because they realize when they do their chores, then they can have free time.
Yeah.
But over the years, I have definitely timed them. And my podcast kind of serves as a timer for the ladies who listen to it because I encourage them to try to clean along with the show. Now, they're not going to be doing the exact things that I do because, their house isn't going to be the exact same size and things like that. But I encourage them to try to just be working in the same room that I'm working in and be done with it before we move on to the next area. So,
Okay.
timer concept definitely
That's a
comes
good
into
idea.
play.
Yeah. Are you able to see or interact with people that listen to your podcast? I don't even know how that works.
Um, for the most part, it's a one-sided conversation, but I have had a few people contact me. I've had people email me on one app. They can leave a voice message, but it's just kind of a random app that I use to create the podcast. So only other podcasters really use that. And then there's a certain app called Castbox that's a popular one where people can make comments. There's this lady that kind of critiques me, but she likes my show. She's like, did you really need to talk about that? And
That's
and
funny.
I'm just really gracious because other people are reading those comments. So I
Right.
do get a little bit of feedback, but I kind of bounce it off of people that I know too. Like, I'll ask my sister, hi, Lisa, if you're watching, I'll ask my sister what she thought of an episode, or my daughter, Jessica. I have an adult daughter who's married with a 14-month-old and another baby on the way. She just found out.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
I'm a Nana. I call myself Nana. I
Aw.
don't really want to be called a grandma. So
That's cute. So someone asked a question. Another KJV1611 said, looking for a home remedy for spilled coffee carpet stain. I tried a few store-bought cleaners with no luck. Thanks in advance. Do you know much about stains? Do you have any suggestions for a coffee stain?
I don't know specifically on coffee. I'm not sure if I've struggled with that particular stain because it's usually the kids spilling things other than coffee. But I use either Resolve Carpet Cleaner, or if I don't have that on hand, lately I don't buy that because my kids are older and they're not supposed to be eating over the carpet and stuff like that. But another thing I use is Shout. Like, it's what I pre-treat my laundry with. So, but I'm just talking in general on stains. I'm not sure if that's good for coffee or not. And then I spray that on and then scrub it with like a damp rag with hot water on it. Just in general, that's what I do if I find a spot on the carpet.
Yeah. I'm sure there's spilled coffee all over mine because a lot of me, my girls and I drink coffee. So, but my carpet's brown, so it probably blends in. It's not that bad. So let's talk about some tools that you can use for cleaning. Tools are important, and I probably need a little help in this area because I don't really have that many. So do you want to talk about your favorite tools and then even show us some if you have some? So go for it.
Yes, I like to pick tools that make the job a little more fun for me. I don't think my mom approves of this. She might be watching, but I like to buy those disposable cleaning wipes,
Oh
like the
yeah,
Lysol wipes or the Clorox wipes.
I like those.
And I realize there's other ways to do it, but I kind of like those. And then lately, I like using this. It's like a Scotch-Brite dish wand. It's just what I like to do when I do dishes. And I was actually cleaning my bathtubs with these for a while, but then I realized they had a dedicated tool for it. It's called the shower scrubber. And
Oh,
this thing is 2 feet long. It makes it really easy to scrub your bathtubs, without getting inside of them, and you don't really have to bend that much. The shower floor I did today with this. So,
I want that. I need that.
yeah, it was like six something. So, I mean,
Wow.
cleaning tools, I mean, obviously, like nice vacuum cleaners and stuff can really cost you, but these simple cleaning tools that make your job easier, they're really cheap. And I mean, sometimes I'm frugal to a fault, but if something's going to help me be more productive, I try to
Right.
get it. So,
And you're going to use it over and over again. So,
another tool that I like, I mean, probably everybody knows about this. It's kind of the end thing, using a microfiber cloth.
yep.
So, like for a TV or computer screen, you could just put a little bit of water on a microfiber cloth and just, it's a faster way to kind of get that streak-free look. Mirrors, I use this with like a glass cleaner or a multi-purpose cleaner. Just it's faster, and sometimes with a paper towel it can leave little bits of lint on the mirror. And it's harder to get rid of the streaks. So I definitely use these. I don't like to use these for in the kitchen, but I like to use them for other things like glass and stuff like that.
Now, I guess I had a couple tools because I used the dish scrubber thingy that you showed. We like that a lot because then the soap's right in there. So
Yes.
I feel like the dishes get cleaner with it. I don't know, because we don't have a dishwasher. That was another thing about your show about the little houses. You were talking about how she didn't have a dishwasher. I'm like, neither do we. We have a dishwasher in the place where one goes, but it's broken. It's been broken for about a year, so we don't have a dishwasher. I told my husband the other day, I said, you really need to buy me a dishwasher. And he's like, you have plenty of dishwashers, as he's pointing to all my daughters. So I'm like, oh, come on. But they are the ones that pretty much do it. Jessica Seacrest said, I love my Clorox wipes and Mr. Clean erasers, and I also love my spin mop. People keep talking about the spin mop. I need to get one. Do you have a spin mop?
I don't have that yet. The mop that I kind of want, I had one once, but it broke. I think it's called a shark steam mop, where it just has water in it, but it gets so hot that it cleans with water. And it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
that I'm worried about cleaning products. I mean, folks, I use all the chemicals, but the reason that I wanted to use that is because I have kind of a unique kitchen floor that's a real shiny tile. It's like glass, and almost anything makes it look cloudy. Even Windex makes it cloudy. And so when we clean it, we kind of have to go over it with a microfiber mop and just plain water. So I feel like the steam mop would be great because then I could do it in one step. But, it's expensive.
That,
I'll get it eventually. So,
that'd probably be good. And that probably would disinfect the floor too, wouldn't it?
yeah, they say it does. I had a friend that had one, and yeah, it kills the germs because it's boiling hot water.
That's awesome. I think my mother-in-law has one of those and she loves it. So that would be good. I think she got it for Christmas one year or something. So that would be good. So how do you keep your house clean most days? I know that's on your outline. So what is your method?
Okay. I like to get up before my kids. I guess I'm a little bit different than other parents because I let my kids stay up maybe a little later than most people do because I want them to sleep in a little bit.
Yeah,
Just
my kids
so
kind of
that,
stay up late because they're older. We both have older kids. That's why.
well, I have two of them going to bed at 9:30 and two of them going to bed at 10, the older two. So,
Mine probably stay up later sometimes.
well, sometimes, but
That's
I'm
about
I'm putting my best
mine
foot
too.
forward here. Okay. These are their official bedtimes. Okay.
Official.
But anyway, so they're asleep when I get up. So I like to go through and just kind of like the order that I told you about with the show. I start in my priority areas and I go through and clean the house. And then when they get up, they eat breakfast and I'm homeschooling them. So we do school. And then they have some chores to do in the afternoon. And just let's face it, throughout the day, I am going to, call them out and have them clean up a mess or something here and there, even if their schoolwork's not done, like, hey, you need to pick this up. But for the most part, I try to kind of get the house clean early in the day.
Okay. So now do you do a quick clean before bed? I used to be so good about this when I don't know. I feel like when I was younger, I stayed on top of the house more and it bothered me more when it was a mess, which I was stressed out a lot though when my kids were younger. As I've gotten older, I've really lowered my standards, I feel like. And I feel like as long as I have the house nice and looking presentable at least once a day, then, I feel good. I feel like, okay, I'm on top of this. I don't know where I was going with that, but do you do like a once over before bed, or is it just kind of earlier in the day you clean?
On good days, yes. I tell myself that I need to spend just even 5 or 10 minutes in the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen and then make sure the front room is picked up. But I'll admit it doesn't always happen because I'm spending quality time with my husband in the evenings.
Yep.
So I try to do a lot of my homework,
Yeah,
my housework on my own time.
that's how
But,
I am.
it makes it a lot easier if I do some stuff in the evening, but it doesn't always happen.
Right. And
So,
that's kind of how I am too. I would rather, I feel like I try to get the schoolwork done, all my housework, the laundry, everything done before he gets home. Because when he's home, I really hate running around, like a chicken with its head cut off, trying to do things when he's home. I would rather sit and talk to him. That's just how I am. Or watch a movie with him or, whatever. So I'm the same way
yeah.
when it comes to at night. And that's why it doesn't get done a lot. Now, sometimes I'll tell, since my kids are older, I'll say, okay, before bed, I'll say, Abby, please pick up the living room. Jason, straighten up the kitchen. Tommy, clean up the schoolroom or whatever, which is nice when you have older kids. But for the most part, I don't do very much cleaning in the evening either.
Yeah, I like that. And I feel like I need to delegate more in the evening because there's
Yeah.
really no reason not to have them kind of straighten things up, have a daughter doing dishes and
Right.
the other kids straightening up the living room. So
Hmm.
good idea there.
Yeah, I will. And most of the time they do it willingly. Well, kids will do anything willingly if you threaten consequences if they don't. That's what I found with mine. So, okay. So do you have any so you recommend a whole house approach rather than cleaning a specific day of the week, which I kind of tend to agree with that too. I used to have it where like Saturday would be our huge day and we would spend hours cleaning, but my house is so small and I have so many older children now that can help. Lana's pretty much the only one that doesn't get a room to clean. All the other kids do. And my house is so small, I feel like we can get it done in an hour and a half. So do you have a certain day that you clean more, or you just kind of break it up evenly throughout the week?
I think I kind of break it up evenly. And yeah, I even mentioned that to my husband when he was kind of asking me, about the show, and we were discussing, what I do on the show and things like that. And I had mentioned that, kind of that one thing a week method is really popular. And he's like, I don't like that. I don't like that
Mm-hmm.
because he wants me to clean the whole house every day. I mentioned
Yeah.
some minimums, but he would like it if I do even more than that. That's just where I start. I try to get everything done. So
Do
yeah,
you
that
feel
just
like
wouldn't
your
work.
husband, when he sees that you've taken the time to clean, do you feel like he is a little more conscious of things that he does not to mess up the house?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, in our room, I want to eventually get a hamper, but right now it's a laundry basket because I feel like when it's a basket, people don't know if it's clean or dirty. And I need to get like another hamper in there because I have one hamper, but it's not in my room. Um, and I've noticed that when I'm keeping the room just spotless and putting my own laundry into that basket, he does it too.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not one of these wives, this is a pet peeve of mine, where my husband just throws his socks on the floor. I mean, it only takes 2 seconds for you
Yep.
to just pick up after your husband. It's no big deal,
Yeah.
especially if he works really hard. Um, but I have noticed that if I'm doing it, and my husband is super clean. Like, I mean, dropping his clothes in the bedroom is probably the only thing he does wrong. He's a
Yeah.
lot cleaner than I am. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel, and I think we just had this discussion on one of the groups I was in on Facebook. And for me, it's all about picking your battles. And like you said, a lot of women complain, my husband throws his socks. My husband throws his socks on the floor every single night. That and his t-shirt when he's getting ready to go to bed. And the thing is, the next day I just pick it up and put it in the hamper. It's literally 2 steps. Most of the times I can throw it. My room is so tiny. I can throw it right in the hamper and it's not a big deal to me. In fact, it kind of brings a smile to my face because I have a husband. He was there. He was just in my bed the night before. It's not a big deal to me. So I just say pick your battles, and that's not a huge battle, ladies. So your husband throws his socks on the floor. You know what? Just like I do, thank God when you pick them up. And I'm not the super spiritual person, okay? I don't do this all the time, but it does bring a smile to my face knowing I have a husband and he was just there, and, just put it in the hamper. It's not a big deal. So, but I have noticed that with my husband. When he comes home and he can tell, like, he smells the Fabuloso. I use a lot of Fabuloso. He smells the Fabuloso on the floors, and he could tell the bathroom's all picked up, which is rare because we have 9 people in this house now. Kelly doesn't take baths, obviously, but we have 9 people in this house. So we have 8 people taking baths constantly, almost every day. Someone, 8 times a day, someone's taking a bath. So there's bath toys, there's towels, the shower curtain's always open, whatever. And when he sees that everything is just perfect, he is a little more conscious, of just picking up after himself. And he's not even super messy, but, he'll do the thing where he'll leave the whiskers in the bathroom sink. But if it's super clean, he'll actually try to rinse them out, So I've noticed that he's more conscious. So
Yeah, I definitely
definitely.
cleaned some whiskers today out of my
Oh, yeah.
husband's sink.
Yes, whiskers every time he does. It's so funny. But once again, it's not that big of a deal to me. I don't know. Stuff like that just really doesn't bother me. he's not, like you said, he's not super messy. And the thing too about my husband is he does not ever complain. So if he comes home and the house is trashed, he just knows it's been a bad day. And he doesn't say much about it. He might tell the kids, pick up in here, but he never says anything to me. He never complains about it to me. And that's just kind of something that we've agreed on. I don't ever ask him to help around the house. There's some wives that do. They want their husbands to help around the house, whatever works for your marriage. If you want to be that way, that's fine, but I'm not. He works very hard at a factory job. He works hard at the church. So the home is kind of my realm and I'm at the house. And if he wants to help out, that's up to him. I don't think he's ever done dishes here. And we've lived here almost 6 years. But like he said, he has all those dishwashers. So why would he? But he works hard. And so he's just he doesn't say anything if the house is messy, and I don't nag him to help me. So I don't know. Does your husband help out with any chores?
He does. I don't ask him to. I think the last time, I was thinking about this while you were talking, the last time that I asked him to help clean was we were having some friends over for Thanksgiving dinner. So, I wanted everything just right. And also I was cooking. So I felt like that was a reasonable time to ask for help. But I agree with you. It's my domain. It's my responsibility. But he does just do things randomly. Like I might be at the store and he might wash some dishes, and he cooks. He usually cooks on either Saturday or Sunday or both. And it's not some kind of a division where I'm like, it's your night to cook. It's nothing like that. He'll just announce, I'm making tacos or something. And I'm like, okay. So, and then he'll do the dishes sometimes after he cooks or he cleans as he goes, and he wants me to do that. And I'm working on improving in that area, because I tend to just be a really messy cook and then just deal with the aftermath later. So
do you think that him wanting everything just right has encouraged you to step up your housekeeping game?
Yes, it definitely has, because, that's why I make it more of a priority than I think I would. Obviously, we all have to clean, but I used to have a friend, and I would tell her, I'm not going to be very specific here because I don't want her to figure out who she is, but she's probably not watching. But I would tell her, well, I better get going because I've got to have the house clean and dinner on the table. And she would be like, my husband doesn't care if I clean the house. He doesn't care if I make dinner. And I was just thinking, he probably does. He just is too nice to say so.
Yeah.
So
definitely. I think most husbands like it when you clean, and most husbands like it when you cook. At least mine does. And most men, most men are pretty much the same across the board. So he's just too afraid of telling her, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing. So, okay. So kitchen tips. So what are some of your best tips when it comes to kitchen duties?
Well, let's see. I definitely clean as you go. That's something I'm working on improving. As far as when something goes into the oven, when I'm not stirring anymore and it's just like a waiting period, I'm setting a timer or something like that. I'll try to, unload the dishwasher, start some dishwater, because some stuff I'm putting in the dishwasher, some stuff I'm washing by hand, like the really big stuff, that type of thing. I do a little of both. So I try to kind of make good use of my time while I'm in the kitchen. And then I try, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, if I'm behind, I try not to make a huge mess. Like I might do a 1-pot meal. Right now I've got a stew in the Instant Pot. It's definitely nice to kind of do that. And then, I'll put the leftovers. I'll just put that inner pot, cover it up, put it in the fridge when we're done. And there's just not much mess to clean up that way.
Yep. I do that a lot. That's funny because I actually have a whole chicken in my Instant Pot right now. So I'm going to make chicken and dumplings after I'm done with this. But also another thing too, that's a tip, is if you do cook a lot with the Instant Pot. I had a friend that I had mentioned this. We were talking about the Instant Pot, and she sent me, I have the 8-quart, and she sent me a second liner. So that way, if you're making a big meal where you need to make rice to go along with it or something, you could take the main dish out and then put the other dish in there, the other liner in there, and then make your rice, while the meat's sitting or whatever. So that's a good idea too. I don't think they're super expensive off Amazon. So
That would be really nice because it is a pain to kind of wash that in between steps.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I've had to do that before where I had to like take it out and put the meat aside and then wash it out and then put it back in. So if you have two liners, that would work out really well. But yeah, I definitely agree with you using the tools. I was talking because actually last week he came home and my Instant Pot was not sealing, and I was making something and it was not sealing. I think it was pulled pork. And so I was trying to make the pulled pork and it would not seal. I wanted it done by the time he came home. It wasn't done. So I had to make him like eggs and toast or something because it wasn't working out. But I told him, I said, it's not my fault. I started it in plenty of time, but my servants weren't working for me. I call them my servants because, you have the Instant Pot, you have the KitchenAid, you have your oven, and all those things, with the exception of the oven, like the Instant Pot and all that stuff, that was stuff that servants would do way back when, like the cooks and the maids and all that. So I call them my servants, but they were not working out. So do you have any other tools that you use in the kitchen?
Well, when I use the crock pot, sometimes I buy those crock pot liners.
Yes.
Certain things tend to stick. Sometimes you don't need it, but it just depends what you're making. So that makes cleanup a lot easier because I don't like to have that crock pot just kind of perpetually soaking.
Yes.
I'd rather be able to just kind of, clean it, put it away. So I get those. Yeah, I feel like I'm drawing a blank though on other tools. I don't know.
Well, all the appliances, everyone uses, but the crock pot liners, I definitely like that. The turkey bags, I've used those before to cook turkeys and things, and then that cuts down on the mess. But you have a good point when you're talking about cleaning up as you go, because a lot of times on a Saturday, I'll have to cook. We have once a month fellowships or potlucks at our church. And so I'll spend the majority of the Saturday before cooking a whole bunch of food. And if I clean as I go, it's so much better because when I go and I spend 3 or 4 hours cooking and then I have this huge mess, I just want to cry. So I have tried it. I think the last time we did it, as I was cooking all these different dishes, I made like 4 things. I was cleaning up as I went, and it was so much better by the end. So that's not something I'm usually very good at, but you are right. It is very good to clean as you go. Definitely. Do you ever get down on your hands and knees and mop the kitchen floor?
Yes, I do. That's really the only way I feel to effectively get around the edges.
Yes.
So same thing in the bathrooms, getting around like where the floor meets the baseboard in the bathroom. I definitely do that.
It was funny because I have my daughters. I had my 3 youngest, well, not Kelly, obviously, the 3 above her. Saturday, I knew my kitchen floor was sticky and it was driving me insane because I get dressed every day and I do my hair and makeup pretty much every day. And I get dressed down to my shoes, but my shoes are flip-flops. I like wearing flip-flops around the house. And they were sticking to the floor. And that is, I hate that when they're sticking to the floor. So I told my 3 girls to get down on their hands and knees and mop for me. They do a pretty good job because they make a game out of it. So I told them, I'm sure you've seen Cinderella when she's mopping and she's singing Sing Sweet Nightingale.
Yeah.
So I told my girls, I'm like, okay, now I want to hear Sing Sweet Nightingale as you're mopping. They thought it was funny. But I feel like with kids, you have to make things a little more fun.
Yes,
instead
definitely.
of just being like, get in there and clean right now and screaming your head off at them and things. So I don't know. Do you ever do games with your kids?
Well, when my teenage daughter was little, when she was a little toddler, I used to move the chairs. Well, I still move my chairs out of the room, but at the time when I would move my chairs out of the kitchen to, mop the floor, sweep and mop, she would kind of align them up in a perfect row and put a stuffed animal in each chair, and she would play choo-choo train.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of encouraged that because it kept her out of the kitchen while I was
Yep.
mopping, kind of getting back to what I believe Jessica was asking about working, with kids. You got to kind of involve them. Um, my adult daughter has a 14-month-old, and whenever my daughter sweeps, it's so cute. She hands the baby a little miniature broom
Aw.
and they both clean. So,
Yeah, I've done
yeah.
that. That's a good idea. Um, yes, I remember, and I knew we were going to have questions about it, but I remember when my children were little, I would get so frustrated sometimes. So I would actually line up the chairs as well, but I would sit them in them head, they don't move. And that's not exactly like the most fun way to do it, but I just had to contain them because I had 3 children within 3 years. I had 3, 2, and newborn. So I had to contain them somehow. So I would just sit them and they would sit there and watch me clean, look at their book. I mean, when you have tiny kids, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you need to just sit them on the couch and find a YouTube video. And, don't feel like a horrible parent because you're letting them watch a stupid YouTube kids video, online. If you have to get some cleaning done, you have to get some cleaning done. And it's not going to affect their entire future if they watch a stupid YouTube video for a half hour.
Right.
So you got to do what you got to do when they're little. Kirsta Fisher said Freya, and I sing that song all the time, scrubbing the floor. It's a good one to sing. Watch Cinderella and then sing Sweet Nightingale. So, so you said clean as you go. So what about your master bedroom? And this is one of my problem areas right now. We have the baby in our room and it's taking up, all her stuff is taking up so much room and so much space. And so my closet right now is kind of becoming like a catch-all. And then I think about my closet though, is I can shut the doors. So I'm not seeing it, when the doors are shut, but I keep on thinking I really have to get to that. So what are some ways that you keep your master bedroom nice?
Well, I feel like it definitely is a catch-all. And I guess that kind of goes back to my whole house approach. I save the bedroom for last because, a visitor dropping by isn't going to go in my bedroom, but I make sure that I include it as part of my cleaning session because I want it to be kind of a, relaxing area for my husband and me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I do get to it, and I don't have a baby in there anymore or anything like that. So I'm not struggling that much. Probably the only thing I guess I struggle with a little bit is that's the area where I fold my laundry.
Yeah, me
So
too.
sometimes there's that laundry pile there. But the way my mom recommends is and this is what I do, you make your bed and then you fold clothes on top of the made bed. And then you're forced to put that stuff away before you go to bed.
Yep. That's what I do. Mm-hmm. I always try to make my bed. And I heard a long time ago, a pastor's wife at some retreat, a ladies' retreat, talking about how, you have to keep the bedroom a romantic place. And, that's you and your husband's, time. And he's going to get frustrated if he wants a nice, obviously my husband doesn't really care. He's not, like I said, he's not super picky about that. But that's always been in my head. So I always try to make the bed every day, like you said, and I always try to pick up. And I have to pick up in that room because it's so tiny. There's one thing on the floor, it looks messy. So I really try to stay on top of it. I don't do as great as I should. I feel like we need more space in our house, or we have to get rid of stuff. We have to get rid of a lot of stuff. But I love to hoard books. So my husband just said something about it the other day on our trunk. He has like 2 stacked trunks, and I just have stacks of books like all over it. And he was like, why are your books all over my trunk? So I probably should do something about that too. But do you have books around your house? Do you have bookshelves? How do you keep your books?
I have a bookcase in my 9-year-old daughter's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
At one of my old houses, I had it kind of in the foyer area. And that was the area that I kept clean all the time because, when you open the front door, you would see a piano, a bookcase. And So I was constantly, you guys need to organize these books again. The littlest one, was a toddler and just, messing up those bottom two shelves of books. And there'd just
Yes.
be like a pile of books in front of it. And it would just make me crazy because that was the entrance of my home.
Yeah.
So we still organize it once in a while, but the standard's a little lower when it's in a kid bedroom.
Right.
So that works for us.
That's funny. I am just addicted to books. I actually got rid of like 3 books I was going to try selling. They never sold. So they're still in my garage and in boxes. I just haven't had the heart to get rid of them. And then I have a bunch down here in the basement. And then I have just, oh man, well, if you've ever seen the tour of my schoolroom on our channel, I just have books everywhere. Do you have any addictions that you have a hard time getting rid of?
Not really. I think I'm kind of a minimalist as far as just having things. I like to get rid of things. Sometimes my husband is like, well, don't get rid of any of my stuff. I'm like, I'm measuring my success in black trash bags today. And he's kind of like, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really have collections and things like that. I really don't.
You're like that one lady, does it spark joy? You're like,
Yeah.
no joy. Get rid of it.
I have read that book. So
Yeah, my kids they've been watching that show that she does, and it makes me feel guilty every time because especially when you see all the clothes when they bring up all the clothes, and it's just I probably have that many clothes too. So it's not as many as some of them. But you would be amazed at how much clothes you have if you start piling them up. So
right.
But yeah, so you said you're not very good about laundry. So my ideas, you asked if I had any ideas when it came to laundry. Not really. I do your mom's method. I try to do at least a load every day. Well, for my family, I have to do 1 or 2 loads a day. Otherwise, it's a lost cause. It's done. Just stick a fork in it and be done because I'm way behind by then. So 2 loads, usually 2 loads a day I do. And I fold it as soon as I have the kids continually switch it and bring it up to me. And then I fold it all on my bed and then I make them put it away before they go to bed. That way I can go to sleep. So I've never really thought of it that way. But I guess that's what I do. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I do the
I'm,
one load a day.
yeah,
load a day, but I'm not doing the one load a day start to finish every time.
right. Mm-hmm.
That's where I go wrong is without, not always folding it and putting it away.
Yeah.
But we don't go around wrinkled or anything because we iron.
See, I don't iron.
We don't iron just randomly. We iron when we're getting ready to go somewhere. If something needs ironing, we iron it. But, it would be better to put stuff away right out of the dryer. And I was doing that for a while, but fell off the wagon.
Yeah.
With it.
I've actually been I don't know how, I've been staying on top of it. I've really struggled with this as well. I mean, I like you said, I would get it clean, but then I'd have baskets piled at the end of my bed and it'd just be all clean clothes. So then they're sitting there getting wrinkled. And that was a huge issue. So I've been really staying on top of it, but now I'm doing part of the cloth diapers and then part disposable. So if I'm not staying on top of it, then I'm going to have a big mess with the diapers. So that's kind of been forcing me to and everything. So, yeah, that's if anyone has a better idea for laundry, please leave it in the comments. Let us both know. So let us both know. So what are some other tips? I know at the end of your outline you had one of the things you like to do is you like to get yourself dressed down to your shoes. You like to look presentable. So what are some other things that you do during cleaning just to kind of help the mood out or help the atmosphere, whatever?
Well, I like to entertain myself. And if I'm listening to the Bible or a sermon, I'll use one of those Bluetooth speakers and kind of just, blare that throughout the house so the kids will hear it too, while they're working on their schoolwork or whatever, playing. And then, of course, I do listen to another cleaning podcast. That's kind of where I got the idea, even though my show is a little bit different. There's a show called A Slob Comes Clean. Some of you have probably heard of it. But I listen to that sometimes. Years ago, when my brother first started his church, I would listen to his sermons while I was cleaning, and especially the ones kind of geared toward women.
Mm-hmm.
One that I found really motivational is called Keep Your Own Vineyard.
Hmm.
And it just kind of helped me with my mindset of feeling like even these mundane chores are important because this is my vineyard.
Right.
So that's one that I liked. And he knows that I listen to those type of sermons when I clean, because I remember having a conversation with him not too long ago where I mentioned one of his recent sermons, and he goes, "Yeah, I had a feeling you'd be listening to that one while you're cleaning the house." Because it was something about cleaning or, being a homemaker or something like that. So, and listen to my podcast, of course, Clean with Me, folks. So I'll talk you through it.
No, that's a good idea. I like to, that's kind of when I get all of my, like you said, sermon listening. Now I have your podcast I can listen to as well. How often do you update to that? Is it weekly?
I do it more than weekly, but I can't really commit to certain days. Like I was trying to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It just really didn't work out. But I do it probably, I average about twice a week, but it's not really on specific days. I might get into a routine like that later on, but I just feel like my life is kind of crazy. I travel a lot um, on business with my husband when he works out of town. And sometimes I drive 5 hours to babysit my granddaughter, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I keep pretty busy. But I probably post at least 2 of them per week on average.
Mm-hmm.
So
If you guys are new to the show, I know we have some more listeners. I've been kind of keeping an eye on who is listening. We have half as many as we started with. Ronnie does a podcast called Clean with Me. So just look for that. I just had to, if you're like me and you don't usually listen to podcasts, just download the app for it. And then it came right up, I think, when I was searching for it. So just search, is your name on it or is it just Clean with Me?
it could, in some apps, it might show my name below it. So that could help you look it up as well if you can remember how to spell my name. A lot of people struggle with it.
Yeah, Raani, Ronnie.
Yeah, Clean with Me is probably easier for people to remember than the spelling of my name. But
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to mention, one of the reasons I'm doing it, other than just helping people or whatever, I do like to have kind of a little side hustle where I'm making money from home.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want that to take away from my important responsibilities. For example, I went through a phase of making homeschooling videos because that's something that, I focus on is homeschooling. And then now I'm talking about cleaning. So I feel like it kind of ties in with what I need to do anyway. And sometimes when you try to teach something or explain it to other people, it helps you kind of step up your own game. So
That's true.
that's
That's
kind of one
true.
of the reasons.
It's kind of like an accountability thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if you have women listening, then you feel like, well, I need to live up to this.
Right.
If these women are listening to me. So it's definitely an accountability thing. I totally agree with you. I even feel that way about the show sometimes because, if I'm going to be one of the aged women teaching the younger women how to have a good marriage, that I need to make sure I'm working on my own marriage. And I need to make sure that I'm not a horrible shrew at home nagging my husband if I'm going to be telling other women not to be a nag at home. So it is an accountability thing. So, but it's good for all of us to keep each other accountable.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
really is.
Definitely. We don't want to be hypocrites. So this has kind of helped me identify my weak areas and find solutions and, just improve as a homemaker. And I make a few dollars if you listen to my show because I do read like a little commercial and then I get paid for that. But it's a real small amount, but it's just fun to see that coming in, even though it's not making like a huge difference. But it's fun.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say too, we had monetized our channel, Gently Led Sisters, and we're finally, it was like up to a certain point, it wasn't going to deposit the money, but I had to set all that up today because it's finally made enough now that they're actually going to make a payment because of the monetization. I can't say it.
Monetization.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's monetized. But I'm going to actually take anything that comes in, though, from people just watching. I'm going to take any of that and just reinvest it in the show. So I'm going to be getting probably a better webcam. I'm using a microphone tonight. I hope the sound's okay. Look for changes coming for the show. We tried to set it up tonight, but it didn't work out. My husband has these grand ideas, and he has Wirecast. It's this fancy program, and he's going to try to make it to where the show is split screen. So you could have seen both me and Ronnie at the same time, but the settings weren't quite right or something. So look for changes for that coming. And then, so anything I make, I'm going to just reinvest back in to make it a better show. But I agree with you. I think that's just, it's part of being a Proverbs 31 woman, finding a little area that you're good at. And, it's stuff that goes along with being a homemaker and being a wife and being a mom. And then there's nothing wrong with trying to bring in a little income on the side from that. So that's good. I wanted to look. Oh yeah, you had said back with your kitchen. We never touched on this. I was kind of looking over the outline real quick. You had said that one of the things that you do, it's okay sometimes when you have to do, shortcuts, such as if you've had a really busy day, don't beat yourself up if you have to do frozen food or order pizzas or something like that. So did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, if you get overwhelmed or whatever, like my husband doesn't mind if I tell him, like, oh, I ordered a pizza, as long as it's in a timely manner. And he wouldn't want that all the time. He does prefer homemade food.
Yeah.
But I can definitely do that. And then sometimes, like in the grocery store, getting that fried chicken at the grocery store,
Yep.
or one of those rotisserie chickens. I do take those shortcuts, or even just heating up something frozen on a cookie sheet. Or my kids will ask to bake. And like 90% of the time, if my kids want to bake cookies or something, sure, great. But sometimes I'll be like, the house is a mess right now. We're not going to make another mess.
Yes.
And when they do bake, of course, I tell them, leave the kitchen better than you found it and stuff like that. But sometimes when you're overwhelmed, it's okay to take those shortcuts, kind of that 80-20 rule. And
Yeah.
I might go through a phase where I'm using a lot of convenience foods, and then I'll get interested in cooking again and just start cooking completely from scratch. But it's not all or nothing. And I mean, you definitely need to, I guess, give yourself a break from just the heavy cooking everything from scratch.
Right. And honestly, my husband and my children would prefer a more relaxed mom that's not yelling and screaming than one that's just, oh, I have to cook from scratch tonight. So get out of my way. I've got to cook. I don't feel like doing it. The house is in chaos. I'm screaming. Everything's just falling apart around me. So my husband would much rather prefer to get the pizzas and have a happier wife than have this 5-course meal. So one of the things that's actually helped my cooking lately is just having new things to cook, which your sister-in-law just did the cookbook. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really enjoying having that to actually try out different things. And, if you have to switch things up, try doing something like that, get a different cookbook, or, try some different meals or something. I've really been enjoying it. And my daughter, Abby, she's been enjoying it too, because it's just different food, and I don't know, it's just more interesting sometimes to change things up. So are there any other, I'm trying to look over real quick. Are there any other things that you wanted to hit on, maybe that you think you forgot, or, any other tips off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I feel like a lot of people listening have small children. And something kind of fun you can do when you're cleaning is hand your little child a baby wipe and let them clean with that, because it's not going to be toxic. You don't want to let them clean with the chemicals or whatever. But the younger they are, they love cleaning. Eventually, they'll kind of lose their love for cleaning, though, unfortunately.
The baby wipe thing is great. I totally forgot about that. I used to do that with my kids when they were real little. And even now still with Lana, I'll give her a rag and a spray bottle, and it just has like water and a little bit of Dawn dish soap and then just maybe a few drops of essential oils. And I'll have her go around and spray down walls. My paint's, fine. It doesn't come off or anything. I'll have her spray down walls and wipe down walls too, because I don't know about your house, but mine gets so many fingerprints all over the walls. And you live in a newer house, so you might not quite be there yet.
Yeah. We've been there in the past. And when I was growing up, my parents had this rule, like you could never touch the walls. And that's just, you could never leave your shoes out in the living room. You could never touch a wall. I grew up in a pretty strict environment. And I feel like I'm getting, I was more laid back as a young parent, but I feel like I'm getting more and more like that because I'm going, you guys are too old to be just touching walls. I mean, that's fine when a toddler is doing it, but they're getting too old and they've been told not to do it for years. So I do
Yes.
kind of call them out for that. But we definitely had,
Yeah.
to wipe down walls a lot more. And like you said, my house is new, so it hasn't had time to get real dirty yet.
I know. You're lucky. Sometimes it's just nice moving into a clean slate. Clean walls. And then do you have, are you picky about your kids not eating anywhere but the kitchen?
Yes, I allow my teenager to eat out of the kitchen, but I prefer that the three younger ones do eat in the kitchen. We have a large kitchen and the dining area is contained in that. It's it's over, the table is over that tile. So definitely they need to eat in there. They have two places they can eat, at the table or they can eat at the breakfast bar on a bar stool. And other than that, if they want to take something into the living room, water.
Yeah.
That's about all I want them to have in the living room. And sometimes I'll make an exception. Like if they have a friend over, I'll pretend to be that cool mom and like, yeah, go ahead and take it in the bedroom. And I'm just like, I hope they don't spill that on the carpet or something.
Your brand new carpet.
Yeah. But I got to pick my colors. So I picked a carpet that is like different shades of tan, brown, gray. It's kind of multicolored. So it definitely would be hard for dirt to show up on it because of the color. And I picked that on purpose.
Nice. Yeah, I would definitely go with those type of colors. My thing is with my children, they're not supposed to eat in the living room. And they have not totally learned that yet. So my children are not perfect. And I will come in there. I will see Lana. Lana will be like slowly inching with like a bowl of food and I'm like, nope, get back in that kitchen. She knows she'll try to get away with it if I don't stay on top of her. But I'm trying to instill that through my children's head. Stay in the kitchen with your food. Just because otherwise I'm finding there's so many of us and I'll find apple cores and like used dishes everywhere. How many cups of water, spoons. I found spoons in the bathroom before. I have no idea why they were in the bathroom with the spoon, but I found, silverware everywhere. So I really try to encourage my children to stay in the kitchen. My teenagers, like you said, are not as good about it. But my younger ones, my Chloe, Allie, and Lana, I really try to get them to stay in the kitchen with the food. So any other tips? I think we're about to wrap it up.
I think that's about it. Just figure out, in a nutshell, just, look at cleaning your house as something that you do for the Lord. Don't think of it as just something that doesn't matter. And if you have the right attitude about it, I think you'll be more motivated and get to know your husband's priorities and just kind of clean things in that order so that you at least get those bare minimums done every day. If you have young children, I mean, definitely take breaks and, care for them. They're only little once and stuff like that. I'm running a tighter ship now than I used to because I don't have little tiny kids. So I definitely feel your pain if you're still at that stage where somebody's like shaking their bottle upside down and dripping it on the carpet or something. That, I've definitely been there. And, it does get easier. Keep in mind that it does get easier as your kids get older. Then you're going to have, a cleaning crew of your own if you have several children.
Yes.
So.
And if you're training them when they're younger, like I like your idea of having, a little miniature broom, to help the 1.5-year-old or whatever. If you're training them to like it and enjoy it when they're younger, they're not going to complain about it as much when they're older. So I do like that. And then I also like your idea of, the priorities, because maybe your husband has never told you what he likes. I'm sure most of you have picked up on it by now. But if he hasn't, just sit him down and say, what is important to you when you walk into the door after you've worked a long day at work? What do you like seeing? And then just go, don't get offended. Don't get hurt if he says something that you don't like, but just take it with a grain of salt and maybe try to work on that. Maybe he doesn't mind if the kitchen's messy, but he likes when food's made, so make sure you have the food made. Maybe he wants the living room picked up so he can just sit in the living room and relax for a little bit before supper, so just find out what his priorities are. Like I said, we've been married almost 18 years and I've pretty much figured out what he doesn't. So I think after, a few months of marriage, you're probably going to figure it out. But but yes, so Mrs. Ronnie Starnes, and then Clean With Me, her podcast. I am going to look into having someone in a couple weeks, another guest on with me. And like I said, if any of you have businesses, I like having people on that have their own business or do their own podcast or have their own channel or whatever, just to kind of promote it, because there are a lot of ladies that watch this. Our videos get almost 1,000 views every time. So I'm trying to get the word out. Like Jessica Seacrest had made me those cute little culottes, which I meant to bring down. It's like these little skirt with these little culottes under it. They're so cute. I meant to show you. I'll show you sometime next week. I also had someone notify me this week that they're sending me a nursing outfit from their business. So I'm excited about trying that out. And then I'll definitely be sure to leave a review and show you guys about it. That's Milky Ma, Milkyma, their business. So check them out. So I will definitely give shout outs to your guys' businesses and your podcasts or your YouTube channels, because I like the encouraging things that happens when us ladies talk together. And, I really want to encourage and support it. So Ronnie, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me on the show and the shout outs about my podcast. I'm hoping that, that'll increase my listenership a little bit. And I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Good. No, it was fun. And it's something that we can all learn from. I've definitely, I used to be better, like I said, but I was a lot more stressed out. I think I like that your method just seems kind of basic and easier, the way that you laid it out. So I'm going to definitely try to incorporate some of that into my own life. And it was fun today when I was, it was fun listening to you as you went around the house and did your little, kind of went through everything. And I was in the bathroom and you were kind of going, you're like, now those of you who are new, this is kind of how I do it in the bathroom. And I liked the little tips that you were giving and everything. So it was good. So check out that podcast, Clean With Me with Ronnie Starnes, and we will see you guys next week. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.